All right, Play Action Fantasy Football back for another week, week 2 on the slate. We have the wide receiver rankings, so why don't we just dive right into it. Number 1, we got Justin Jefferson at the Eagles. Love the matchup. He did really well last week. I expect this to continue to be a thing weekly. Him in the top 5. Number 2, Tyreek Hill at Patriots. You got to start him. After the game against the Chargers, they have a better defense than the Patriots, in my opinion. Got to play him after the amazing performance week 1. Got to play Tyreek Hill week 2. Number 3 is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Seattle at home. This is going to be another good matchup. He did well against the Chiefs. I expect that to continue. Number 4 is going to be Stephon Diggs versus the Raiders. This is recorded on Monday night, so we don't know what's going to happen yet with the Monday night game. However, I love the matchup against the Raiders. I think that's going to be his better matchup. So regardless of how he plays this week, I expect him to be in the top 5 next week when it comes to wide receivers. Number 5 is going to be CeeDee Lamb versus the Jets. Jets have a really good defense, but man, CeeDee Lamb just seems to be able to get open. He was the number 1 guy targeted last week or Sunday night against the Giants, so expect that to continue against the Jets. Yes, I know Sauce Gardner is going to be on him. I just think CeeDee Lamb's going to have a good game. And if Stephon Diggs can have a good game against Sauce Gardner, I expect CeeDee Lamb to do the same. Number 6 is going to be Calvin Ridley. He's back. I told you last week to start him. If you didn't start him, look at the start video that's coming out this week on top of the rankings. He's in the top 10, and rightfully so. He looked like he didn't even miss a beat, and Trevor Lawrence loves targeting this guy. Calvin Ridley is going to be number 6. Number 7, another phenomenal player this past week in week 1, Brandon Ayuk. Not seeing a whole lot of Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk has been targeted nonstop by Brock Purdy ever since Brock Purdy took over. Now that Trey Lance is gone, expect that to continue. Jamar Chase is going to be number 8 for me. Yes, I know he didn't have a good week against the Browns. However, I expect that to continue to not be a factor for him. I expect him to have a better game this week against the Ravens, especially at home. He does perform better at home than he does on the road, so expect for that to change. Mike Evans is going to be number 9. Baker Mayfield is throwing him the ball. However, Baker Mayfield throws to Mike Evans. Mike Evans showed he was fantasy viable with Baker Mayfield, so I expect that to continue against the team of the Bears, who struggled against Jordan Love and the Packers. And these are a much better wide receiver core. Number 10 is going to be Keenan Allen versus the Titans. Didn't have the best performance against the Dolphins. However, against the Titans defense, I expect it to be a much better matchup for Keenan Allen. He's going to be number 10. Number 11 is going to be DK Metcalf at the Lions. Looks like Tyler Lockett had a concussion, or at least went in to get checked for concussion. They're taking a little extra time here to make sure that he's not going to be out. They wanted to play it safe. So for right now, DK Metcalf looks like the main target guy in this wide receiver room, and I expect that to continue. Lions are a little stingy when it came to the receiving game. Again, Seattle has a better receiving core than what the Chiefs had Thursday night in week 1. Amari Cooper at Steelers, yes, did not put up the best amount of points when it came to fantasy. However, it was raining all day, not the best throwing conditions. If the weather stays better against the Steelers, they are already out their top defensive linemen. I expect them to be able to find some weak spots in the Steelers' defense, and the 49ers found that out last week. So, Amari Cooper is going to be number 12. Number 13 for me is Jalen Waddle at the Patriots. Again, another guy who we talked about last week, yak, yard after catches. He's one of those guys. He didn't have a bad performance against the Chargers, and now he gets the Patriots at the Patriots. Give me that matchup all day. Number 14 is going to be Chris Olave at the Panthers. Falcons just steamrolled the Panthers, it seemed like. They played old school football. However, Derek Carr's a veteran. They don't get to face Bryce Young this week. So Chris Olave for me is going to be number 14. He was very good last week. I expect that to continue. Number 15, 16 is going to be a pair of teammates. I'm going to have Devontae Smith, number 15, versus the Vikings. Again, Vikings got not exposed, but they gave up some good plays to the receiving core of the Buccaneers. So with that being said, I expect Devontae Smith to continue to be the main guy for Jalen Hurts, but A.J. Brown wasn't that far behind either, and that's why he's number 16 for me, again, against the Vikings. It just seems like Jalen Hurts would rather target Devontae Smith right now. However, if A.J. Brown breaks one loose, he's going to be open. You hit him. That's fantasy viable right there. So 15, 16 is a pair of teammates. And Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. 17 is going to be DeAndre Hopkins versus the Chargers. I expect this to be DeAndre Hopkins having a maybe 1 or 2 touchdown game. We'll see exactly where it stands when we do the start sits. But for right now, I like the matchup. So DeAndre Hopkins is going to be 17 for me. Number 18 is Michael Pittman Jr. against the Texans in Houston. That being said, Anthony Richardson did go down in the fourth quarter against the Jaguars, but it seems like all's good on his end, and Michael Pittman got a little screen pass, and yard after catch ran loose, and that kind of helped him set his fantasy, points up there. However, against the Texans, I like this matchup a lot better, and you've seen it in Zay Flowers with the Ravens, so expect that to continue with Michael Pittman Jr. in this matchup. Romeo Doubs is going to be number 19 for me. Christian Watson was out last week. I don't know how to put him in there, but man, Romeo Doubs got in a lot of targets. Now, obviously, that might change with Christian Watson. I don't know how that's going to factor in, but against the Falcons, I expect them both to have a good game. 20 for me is Courtland Sutton versus the Commanders. He's going to be the main guy. No Jerry Jeudy, more than likely in week 2. Until we see what Jerry Jeudy can do with his injury, even if he does play, Courtland Sutton seemed to be the main guy and the main target for Russell Wilson, so he'll be number 20 for me. 21, speaking of which, is going to be Zay Flowers versus the Bengals in Cincinnati. He was the guy who got all the targets, it seemed like, for Lamar Jackson. And man, did he did not disappoint. He got the catches, he got the yards, he got a touchdown. So look for Zay Flowers to continue that against the Bengals, who did not play well against the Browns. However, not throwing weather conditions, but expect Zay Flowers to at least be a flex start, more than likely, if you have him. Tyler Lockett, number 22 for me. It sounds like he's going to play. And Seattle and Detroit have great matchups. Now, I don't know how much he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to play. But if he does play, I'm liking DK Metcalf a lot better. And that's why he's number 22 for me. 23 for me will be Mike Williams at Titans. Again, another matchup. I like the matchup for the Chargers. Did not have the best scoring-wise week 1 for Mike Williams, but I expect to bounce back in week 2. 24 for me is going to be George Pickens. Deontay Johnson went out with a hamstring injury. And then Pat Freiermuth went out with a chest injury. You got to throw the ball somewhere. It's going to be George Pickens. He's going to be the main target for Kenny Pickett. I don't know how great he's going to be. We'll look at that in the start set. But for him being the only really target for the Steelers, he's going to be number 24 for me, and I expect him to be targeted a lot. Number 25 for me is going to be Elijah Moore at the Steelers. A lot of gadget plays against the Bengals. I expect that to kind of continue now that the Steelers don't have their top defensive lineman. I expect that to kind of continue. They're going to do a couple gadget plays, I think, with Elijah Moore, maybe a couple Wildcats. I don't know exactly what we're going to see. But Elijah Moore, the Steelers, number 25. Number 26 is Darnell Mooney. As much as I like the DJ Moore trade, didn't seem like Fields wanted to target him. He went back to Darnell Mooney, and Darnell Mooney was his guy before DJ Moore, so it only makes sense. Now, this is up against the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense can be a little bit more stingy with it. However, Darnell Mooney seemed to be perfectly fine, even getting blown out with the score of the Packers and Bears. I expect Darnell Mooney to possibly be a flex guy. 27-28. This is a little hard for me to do. However, considering Cooper Kupp's on the IR, Van Jefferson did not seem to be the guy. Puka Nacua versus the 49ers for the Rams. 15 targets. Caught 10 of them. And over 100 yards receiving on the day. Against Seattle. Who was one of the better secondary defenses last year. So for me, he's going to be number 27. These guys, I don't know which one's going to be a start for me this week or which one's going to be a sit, but one of these guys is going to be a start. I'm going to dive into the numbers and get into that with the start set video for the wide receivers. 28, though, is Tutu Atwell. Again, didn't get as many targets, but he was fantasy viable. He could have been a really good flex for week 1. Nobody would have predicted this. But against the 49ers, a little bit tougher of a secondary. But again, they got to throw the ball somewhere. Either it's Van Jefferson, Puka, or Tutu Atwell. Again, great names. Not hating on it. Just I cannot pronounce the hell out of these. DJ Moore is going to be 29 for me at the Buccaneers. Expect a little bit of a bounce back game. I don't know how they're. Don't know if they're gonna double team Mooney. I don't know what they're gonna do for the Buccaneers defense. However, DJ Moore's got to get the ball, and he's gonna have to get the ball soon. Traded a number 1 overall pick to get this guy. You got to throw him the ball, and I expect that to change in week 2. He's gonna get the ball more often and quickly too. So 29 for me is DJ Moore. 30 is gonna be Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds was the second highest targeted guy on the Lions against the Chiefs. And we just seen what Puka and Tutu did against the Seattle Seahawks with the Rams. I expect Jared Goff, St. Brown, and Reynolds to be able to do somewhat close to the same, especially at home in Detroit. That's going to do it for our rankings for the wide receiver portion of it. Make sure you look out for the quarterback video coming out later today, and we'll see you next week.